on asynchronous event notification for Redfish. Before going to why do we need a asynchronous event notification for Redfish, what is there in current OpenVMC stack for asynchronous event notification? Currently, we have two methods. We have SNMP event notification, as well as we have REST event notification through the WebSockets. But if we look into like SNMP, we are using a custom MIP. And we look at a REST, so there is that's not a standard. So that's why like we thought of like we should do the asynchronous event notification via Redfish. So moving on to next slide. Yeah, thank you. So what is the motivation behind doing a like asynchronous event notification via Redfish? First is Redfish is gaining attraction for server management. We need to notify the client for the various event logs or error logs if it is there, how to notify. We need to notify the clients for the telemetry data, as well as if there is some long-running operation like async operations which is there, and we open a task, we create a task. So once the task is completed, how to notify it to the client. So these are the some motivational factors for doing it via Redfish. So what are the various eventing mechanisms which is currently exist over HTTP? So one is like normal polling, the SSE server-side events, and the WebSockets. So in a polling, if you look at right, so we do like a periodic polling where client is keep polling for a resource, like what is the state of the of a certain resource, but that is pretty resource intensive, and the client doesn't get like a real-time updates. In a server-sent events, client open a connection, and once the connection is open, the server keeps sending a data over the connection. If we talk about WebSockets, in a WebSockets, it's a bidirectional protocol, and WebSockets is it uses its own protocol. Only the handshake happens over HTTP, and once the handshake happens, it's the WebSocket uses its own protocol. But if you look at like a WebSockets, it's a bidirectional. But in the case of Redfish, where we just want like the server should notify it, so we don't want a bidirectional communication protocol. And with the WebSockets is the normal, like if there are legacy browsers, they don't support WebSockets, but the latest browsers, they support some WebSockets. So now coming back, like what are the different methods which Redfish supports? Redfish supports two types of eventing. The first one is the push style eventing. In a push style eventing, client makes a subscription request to the event service, and event service internally creates a subscription. And whenever, if you look at like the event monitor, there is an internal event happen on a BMC. It opens a connection to the subscribed client and sends the data to the client. So this is the push style eventing. So if you look at like advantage, we don't need to do a polling. But the negative is it's a non-secure channel, and it's vulnerable to man-in-the-middle attack. And connection cannot be kept alive indefinitely. So means the TCP handshake normally takes longer. So we need to open a connection and then send the event data and then close the connection. So that will take a long. Now, next eventing mechanism supported by Redfish is server-sent event. In a server-sent event, the client makes a request to the event service to get the server-sent URI. Once a client gets a server-sent URI, client makes a request to get server-sent URI. That opens a connection. Internally, event service creates a subscription request, and any event occurs. So whatsoever the channel was opened in a first step, we will sending the data over the same channel. It's a secure channel. and TCP connections needed only once, and it's a single way communication. So this is the server sent event. So the Redfish event modeling, how does the Redfish event model looks like? Uh, this PPT tells about there is a service route. In a service route, the Redfish service route, which is nothing is your Redfish V1, doing a GET request on a Redfish V1 tells you there is an event service. If the event service is supported by the OpenBMC implementation. Event service contains a subscription, which is a collection object, and the collection can have a multiple subscription. The subscription is nothing is your Redfish endpoints, where the event need to be sent. And the service route will be having a message registries. Again, it's a collection, and the message registries will be having multiple registries. These registries would be used like the message. When we create an event message, the event message will be having a registries ID, and the message would be constructed with the use of registries. And we have the event modeling, the event resource we have. So this is the Redfish event service model map. So when we fire a request on our event service, these are the some certain important parameters in an event service. If we look into, if it is a push style event, we are bothered about server sent URI, which is highlighted in green. And then if we talk about a push style eventing, we look for like a subscription object. So client makes a post request on a subscription to create a subscription request. The event service also tells about what are the event format types supported by the event service. Could be event and the metric report. The metric report is a telemetry report. Resource type tells what are kind of resources this event service supports. And resource types is all the resources supported by the Redfish. Could be account service, or could be network, or anything else, chassis. So this is the event service. That delivery retry attempts tells if the BMC tries to send data to the subscribed client and it gets failed, how many times the retry will be happen. And similarly for the interval seconds, like what would be the retry interval before attempting a second retry. Moving on to event subscription. Client can subscribe making a post request. While it makes a post request, what are the parameters which it has to give? The destination where like the client has to send the event back. Context is pretty like when you are sending the data, the client can ask, okay, this is my context, and we need to send the same context as part of the response. Resource type, client can in an event service, if you look at, it was telling like what are the supported resource types. In a subscription, client can say from the supported resource types, I am only interested on certain resource type. And the event format type, client can say I am only interested in a event. I'm not interested in a metric report. So this is event subscription. The event message contains the events array. And an events array, if we see like it tells about the event type, the message, what is the message of the event, and the message ID. Message ID, if you look into it, this is when we talk about registries. So it's a registry ID, and there is a message arguments, which is again depends upon a registry message registries. So this is our event message. So we saw in a previous slide, the message ID was alert 10 LAN disconnect. So what does that mean? If you look into the message ID, so alert is a registry. Alert tells it's a registry ID. I will say registry type. 1.0 is a version, and the LAN disconnect is a message ID. It's a registry ID. So how like whenever the client gets this message identifier, it knows how to fetch the data or how to construct the meshes. So this is the message registry. Okay, let's moving on. So we did a quick POC. We did a quick POC on the same. What we did is like we open a like a connection. Before making a connection, we need a session. So if you look into it, like we did a we open a like a connection, and then we give a like a X authentication token, and our this POC is for SSE. So we need a server sent URI. The Redfish V1 SSE events is a server sent URI. So client keeps waiting on this URI, and if you look at into the other side of the window is a BMC, where we fire a request. Where what we did is like we created a user, like say like test user or something. We created it, and we get a notification here. Okay, this user has been created. The resource added event, we got it. So this was the quick POC which we did it for the SSE. Any question, answer?
So if the client loses the connection,
the microphones here.
I'll just show it. If the client loses the connection, how do you get all the events that happen in the middle?
So if the client loses a connection, in the case of SSE event, so normally the client, because it's the connection has lost, the socket has been closed, the client will next time when the client comes up, it says last event ID I got this. So now the server, whatsoever the event ID is there from the last event ID, the client will the server will, the BMC will send all the messages, all the events.
So it's an implementation detail
Yep.
on the server side that it has to persist.
Yep.
It has to buffer a certain amount.
Yeah. So it is like, suppose like the last event ID was say 2, and like on a BMC there are like suppose 100 of events has been generated after that, and because of there are some persistent issue, like there will be certain limit, and suppose the BMC is persisting now from 10 to 100, so it will send from 10 to 100.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Follow up on that question. So if it's asynchronous, is the IDs sequential?
Do you mean to say event IDs?
Yes.
Yes.
So if I get it so there is no way I get an event in an insequential. I mean, the sequential ID is always preserved when I get it from server.
Sorry, didn't get you. Can you come again?
So if it's an asynchronous event mechanism, so it's possible that I would get the events in out of order, right?
No, because the connection is over TCP. The connection is not UDP.
Okay. Thanks.
We still do have a few more minutes. So feel free to ask more questions and queue up at the mics.
Thanks. Just a follow-up question to what I had before. Did you say that the client can actually filter for certain events?
Yeah.
So you can say, I only want to know like new user events, for example. In that case, how do the event IDs work if you're getting only a subset of the full events that happen on the server?
So whenever, because like there's a subscription request, in a subscription request, client tells, I'm interested only in this event. And last time if client gets, say like event ID number 1, and we have, like on the BMC, there is a list of like 100 of events. So in 100 of the events, the BMC will look into it. Oh, this particular subscription or this particular destination is only looking for the account events. So from these like available events, the BMC will send only the interested events.
I see. So the event ID is really specific to the subscription
Yes.
stream, and not all the events in general.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
So on follow-up on the same questions, so if I have asked for filtering the certain events, what will happen to the other rest of the events? Can I ask them next time, or will it be purged?
So think of, there could be like a multiple connected clients. One of the client is interested for account events. The other guy is interested in chassis events. So even like on the VNC, there are all the events. Depends upon what client is interested, we will be sending an event.
So how does this client, the event ID works on multiple requests?
So like, so as I said, like it's a sequential number. So say like, okay, last time the client number 1 say, I got a event ID number 2. And like I got a disconnect, and after disconnect, whatsoever my interested events I'm looking for. So like after 2, whatsoever, like say various account events are there. So after 2, whatsoever is there, like say 5, 10, or 11, whatsoever is there, you keep sending.
And if multiple clients are interested in the same event,
You can still send it.
so you can still filter in a
Yeah.
different way. Okay. Thank you.
Does the eventing scale with the number of subscriptions well? Because it seems like for every event, you have to check through all the subscriptions in order to see whether or not that they are relevant for the subscription. So it seems that if you have thousands of subscriptions, it would slow down the eventing quite a bit.
1,000 of subscriptions, like you're saying, like 1,000 of clients are listening for the events.
Possibly because of cloud services.
Yeah. So in that case, yes. If it is, yes. So because the 1,000 TCP connections would be there, yes, it would.
Okay, I guess that's it then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.